Welcome to the next video in our series looking at how to integrate ApostropheCMS and Astro using the Apollo theme. In these next few videos, we're going to explore widget creation. Widgets are the fundamental building blocks of content in ApostropheCMS. They allow content editors to change the page layout, add images, or other content like rich text to the page. As we covered in earlier videos, this occurs through the addition of these widgets to areas on the page. So just as a reminder for those new to Apostrophe, let's take a quick look at what areas are and how they're added. So switching over to the code editor, we'll just take first a quick look at the back end. So the back end, again, is going to be where our ApostropheCMS code lives within our project. We're going to go ahead and open that up. And then most of the code for that is going to be within the modules folder. Looking in here, we have a whole variety of different modules, including the default page module. So this is going to power the typical page that that a content editor is going to add to the page. Opening that up, looking in the index, we can see we have a single field here that has a name of main, and it's of the type area. So switching over into Apollo, also just as a reminder, we covered this in page creation videos, but we're using a helper here, get widget groups, to pass all the different widgets in. And we'll dive back into this in just a few minutes. But switching back over into Apollo, which I have running here, I'm already logged in as an admin user. I'm just going to go ahead and hit edit. So you can see here on the home page, when we do click edit, we can see these boxes showing up. Those each represent an area and a place on the page where content can be added. So if we go ahead now and add that default page, we can see that within this new default page, right in the front, there is a single field, which is the area with a title of main. And here's where we can go ahead and add all of our widget content. So if we go ahead and click on that, we can see this side preview menu opens up and displays all the widgets that we can possibly add to that content area. And we're going to go through these. Switching back over into the code and looking at the front end now. So remember, in an in an Astro ApostropheCMS hybrid project, you typically are creating schemas on the back end that go ahead and power all the content display that's going to be on the front end. So just again, going into the Astro section of our project in the front end, most of our code is going to be in the source folder. Opening this up, if we take a look under templates, that's where our default page template is going to be. Opening that up, we can see that it's really simple. We're importing a helper, apos area. That's going to be used to process any area schema fields that we pass into our template. And we're just simply passing the data from that main schema field over into the apos area component for processing and display on the page. Okay, so that goes a little bit better into what areas are. Now let's talk about widgets. So much like pages, widgets are going to have both a backend ApostropheCMS component or I shouldn't say component, module, as well as a front-end Astro component. So an actual component in this case that will handle the display of those widgets. That the front end, as we'll go into Astro code, is oftentimes also going to handle things like client interactivity. So it's going to be the JavaScript that powers the widget, while the backend can provide extra methods, extra routes, things like that for your widget to access to give functionality. So let's jump now back over into Apollo and look at the various different widgets that are present within the project. And we can see here, if we go ahead and click on the content button again, add content button again, we basically have two groups of widgets. We have at the top here, layout widgets, and there's two types. There's a grid layout widget. This is going to be, this is a layout widget that's based on CSS grid. And if we go ahead and add that, you can see that it gives you a variety of pre-made layouts that you can select from this drop down here. And it also allows you, if you need to create a custom grid. And then again, this is going to be based on CSS grid, where you're going to put in gaps, numbers of rows, columns, things like that to style this. So that's one layout widget. The other layout widget is a rows widget. Let's go ahead and hit content again. Rows layout widget. In this case, it's a little bit more simple. It's just a single row that's going to be added to your page with one or more columns. So we've got a couple of different choices here, 50-50, 3 equal columns, 4 equal columns, and then columns with mixed widths. So if we just go ahead and pick this one, we can see that down here, we've now got 3 additional areas that are added onto this particular row that each can then take widgets to be added in. In this case, I've limited the widgets that can be added in there. I've removed the grid layout because having a grid within a row column just gets a little bit confusing. Okay, so those are the 2 layout widgets. Then the rest of the widgets in the Apollo project are content widgets. These 3 at the top, image, video, and rich text, are going to be very familiar to you if you're coming from an ApostropheCMS background. All 3 of those are core widgets and allow you to add the respective type of content to the page. The next 5 down below are custom widgets that were created for the Apollo project. We've got a slideshow widget, we've got a hero section, we've got an accordion, a card, and a link. And the link actually is reused multiple times within other of these content widgets to display links and buttons. All right, so now you've got an idea of what kind of widgets are available in the Apollo project. Let's look at how they're actually created. So I'm just going to cancel out of this and exit. We'll go back over into our VS Code and we'll close all this down. Okay, so the first thing that I want to retouch on that I kind of already mentioned is the fact that for each of these widgets, they're split between the 2 projects. So on the ApostropheCMS side and the backend within the modules, you can see that each of the different widgets that I just pointed out has a corresponding dash widget module. So the accordion widget, the card widget, hero widget, so on and so forth. Both the image and the rich, I should say all of the core widgets, the image, rich text, and video widget that are present or provided through the core of ApostropheCMS get their updates or get their options through a module created in the @ApostropheCMS folder. While all of your project level widgets are going to have a folder that's just at the top level of the modules. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of these. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rows widget. So the rows widget module has a very typical structure where you have an index.js that's going to power the whole thing, as well as in this case, a public folder. This public folder is what is giving the preview image that is in that preview menu. And we'll go in a later video in how you display widgets in that preview menu. But nonetheless, the main thing to take away here is that the rows widget itself has an index.js in the ApostropheCMS project that is going to do a couple of things. It's going to provide all of the fields that are needed. So this is just like if you were powering a page, as we covered in past videos. So it's going to have fields that are going to take input from the content editor and use it to output something onto the end page or end piece. And then for all of the widgets that are at project level, they're going to extend the @CMS widget type module. So the 3 core widgets that are present, let's just take a look at the image widget. These widgets, if you look at the top of them at their export default, they're not going to say that they're extending anything. And that's because by default, they're improving the ApostropheCMS module of the same name that's found in core. All right, so on the back end, you have your module set up in the correct place, either in the ApostropheCMS folder or at the project level modules folder. Within that, you'll have your index.js file and potentially also some other folders for containing things like your widget preview. Now switching over to the to the Astro side of this project, all of that code again is kept in the front end folder, and within that, most of the code is going to be in your source folder. There is some additional code for the Apollo project in the public folder. For example, within the scripts folder, we have the video widget component, or custom web element created here. And we'll go into that when we get deeper into how we create widgets. So looking into the source folder itself, your widgets are going to be placed within this widgets folder. And then for each widget that you want to bring over from your ApostropheCMS project and display in your Astro front end, you're going to want to make a component. So for example, here's the rows widget component. And you can see, you can kind of explore through this and see, again, we have our front matter here that is creating all of the JavaScript needed to be used on the server side for powering this widget. We're bringing in this Apos area helper, and we're also bringing in all the widget data for this widget from the Astro props. And then below the front matter, after we get all the things like our spacing and such returned, below the front matter is our actual template for how the particular widget is going to be displayed in the final markup. Okay, so we have our back end with the schema. We now have our front end with the presentation template. Much like with pages, we need to somehow connect these two together. We need to tell the apostrophe integration how these connect together. So looking into the index.js, we can see how that happens. So up here at the top, we're importing each of our different widget components. So here at the end, we're importing rows widget from the rows widget.astro component in the same folder. And then we're passing that into the widget components object here. And we're saying that anytime that ApostropheCMS calls for a rows widget, that we should map that to the rows widget component. And you can see here within this object, we have rows, not rows-widget. And that's just the convention where all of the components that go inside the widget components are expected to be have that -widgets ending and be and extend the widgets module. Just as a side note, so in the Apollo project, we have this set up where all of our mapped pages are in the template folder, and you can see we have an almost identical mapping here. And all of our widgets are in the widget folder. If for some reason in your project you want to change this, looking into the astro.config.mjs file, you can see here that in our integrations, we have our apostrophe Astro extension, and we're passing in that our widgets are being mapped to the source widgets folder. So you could change this if you wanted to, although most of the time there's not going to be really a reason to change that. So the last thing that I want to touch on in this brief introduction is just one feature that is present when using Astro as a front end that isn't really as easily accomplished when you're using Apostrophe CMS by itself as a standalone is that because each of these widgets in this folder are components, you can actually go ahead and use them as standalone components and not have to add them into an area. This allows you to carry over some items onto basically hard code items onto pages and not have to depend on the content editor to add that particular widget to say a home page where you want a hero at the top. So here we have the hero widget component that returns back this returns back this hero widget that we might want to have at the top of our page. If we actually look at the templates for the home page, we're bringing that hero widget in as a standalone component, and we're actually, if the particular layout is selected, we're outputting that hero widget onto the page, independent of it being within an area. So the other important change, if you're used to working with Apostrophe, that has to happen in order for this to occur is back on our backside in the Apostrophe CMS project. If we look in the homepage module, and that is a core module, so it's going to be in the @ApostropheCMS folder. If we look at the homepage here, we can see that it's got the layout field that allows you to pick what type of layout you want. So in this case, we were talking about the foundation with hero. And then you can see that here, there's a hero section. This is going to provide all the data for that hero. And the fields, and it's being passed as, or it's created as a type of object, a schema field of object, which means it's going to have all of its own fields. Those fields are being brought in from the hero fields helper. And so what I'm doing here is I'm taking all the schema that would normally go into the hero widget, which is right here. We're taking all of these fields, and instead we're basically moving them out, refactoring them out to a schema mixin. That allows us to bring those same fields in both for the widget when we want it loaded into an area as hero-widget, but also into the home page. And we'll go into this a little bit further, but this is just a powerful way that you can reuse widgets in ways that you can't within a vanilla Apostrophe project where widgets always have to be used within areas. So just to recap really quickly, widgets are the building blocks of content for your your Apollo project. And they're added into areas or can be used, as I've shown here, as standalone components. The areas themselves can be part of pages. They can be part of pieces. They can actually be parts of other widgets, as we saw with the two layout widgets, where we had areas within the widget that got added to an area. So in our next videos, we're going to go ahead and further deconstruct the row widget a little bit more so that we can better understand all the components that go into creating the schema and how we nest those areas. The video following that, we're going to dig into some of the widgets that have extra client-side functionality and look at how we're adding that client-side functionality. So, see you in the next videos.